Our next LinkIt session. Woo! Yeah! Thank you. So this is going to be our least amount of going to new areas in LinkIt. We just got like one area to go to. We're going to look at one report. It's going to be an individual student report. It should be very useful for you, I hope, just to get to know your students. Now, is anyone in here not a classroom teacher? Woo! All right. So for those of you, you will see an exciting nothing to start. But once I get everyone started, I'll show you how you can make a group of kids that you can get these same reports for. In short, everything in LinkIt is associated with all kids have a student ID, which you know through your SIS, through real time. And then those kids' student IDs get associated with the classroom teachers through your rosters. Those of you who are not classroom teachers, you don't have a roster. So I'm going to show you how to make a LinkIt class, and then you can get the data. So it's like a non-real-time class. Does that make sense? Maybe? Ish? Okay, well, I'll basically pull all you up front, and I'll help you do that. So we're going to look at what's called student fingertip profiles. I'm just going to do a very short overview of it. On the slides that Jerry was nice enough to send out to you all, there is a table of contents on slide 3. The overview is what I did this morning. Some of you were here for the benchmarks. Some of you were here on creating your own assessments. And then we're at the how to use student fingertip profiles. This part of the TOC, if you click on it, it'll bring you to the slide. So if you click on how to use student fingertip profiles, it'll bring you right to slide 44. And let me show you a little bit about them, and then we'll look at them. The intent of these documents is to have key data on your students on one single sheet of paper. Each student will get their own. So using this example up here, you get a nice longitudinal view of your students. So you get how they did 2 years ago on a LinkIt benchmark if your kids are in 11th grade now. We can see there on the top left it says 1920. Let me just make sure I turn the mic on. I did, good. It says 1920 and then Form C. Now in LinkIt speak, Form C is the spring benchmark. ELA is in purple, math's over there on the right. I don't know why I cut it off, but it's cut off. So that means 2 years ago that kid was meeting. Now the way I know it's meeting is that it's green. And on the bottom of your student fingertip profiles you'll see the colors. And then I can see the story. What happened last year during the pandemic for this student? And that's really the purpose of this. This student started off the year also in the green. I'm right at the 2021 overall score. Then they dipped. Basically in LinkIt, green is good, red is the worst, and yellow and orange are in the middle. Or maybe I should say it a little more positive. Red is they just need more support. So we can see this student dipped below the green, and then they moved up to the darker green, which is really the highest. So that's awesome. The student and the teacher really had a strong end of the year. So you'll be able to see if kids are staying consistent, trending up, trending down, or are roller coastering. So that's good to know overall, but that's not super actionable. What is actionable is knowing how the kids did by each standard. So you'll be able to see for each standard how the students started the year, Form A, middle of the year, Form B, end of the year, Form C. So I have no doubt it was a challenge to give kids assessments during a pandemic, especially when they were home for a bunch of it. But now you'll hopefully see all the benefits of all that effort. Now underneath that, if any of you are not ELA and math teachers, you may not have memorized what those standards are. So we also have topics. In this case, informational text, literary text. Those are useful topics that everyone can incorporate that data for, and turn that into how they support their students. And then for students who took PSATs, we have their overall score and a breakdown by each subject or each sub-score. So you'll have one of these for each kid. Any questions or comments on that before the big reveal so we can see them? All right. So please log into LinkIt if this is your first session with me after the overview. You will go to the staff resource bookmark, and then you will just click on sign in with Google. If this is your first session with me, do not do username and password. Chris and your admin team did a nice job of making life easier for you, and they set us up for sign in with Google, so you don't have to worry about the headache of what's my password for this site. Anyone need help logging in? All right. So when you are logged in, please on the top go to reporting, which is the bar graph, second icon on the left next to the house and the paper and pencil. Yes?
Should we all staff, no matter what, be listed as classroom teachers?
Yes. Well, except like principals and vice principals. And so in your role, we'll be able to make what we call a focus group, which means we'll put all the kids under your umbrella in a LinkIt class. We call it focus group. So I'll show you how to do that after I get everyone in. All right, so now once you're in reporting, please click Navigator. Anyone need help getting here? Okay. Do you have this blue bar on the top? Just click on the bar graph. Okay, then click Navigator. And that should kick out Test Bank. Good? Thank you for asking. Anyone else? All right, so I'm assuming it's just the count. Those who are not classroom teachers probably have nothing there. But do most of you have 21, 22? Okay, great. So what you're going to do is basically click on these folders till you get to a PDF. And actually, I'd like to log in as one of you, so let me just do that. Could I get a name of someone I can log in as? It won't mess you up. Drake? Thank you. Rebecca? Let's get a woohoo for Rebecca! Yeah! Okay, thank you, Rebecca. What I'm about to show is what you're inheriting. So, not a reflection of you. So I click Reporting, I click Navigator, and then you basically just want to click the folder for 2122 and just keep clicking until you get to a PDF. You'll click on Multiple Measures, Fingertips, High School. You'll have to left click a couple times. And these are the PDFs.
So if I click on the grade 10 this year's grade 10.
Bingo. Yep. So not every high school I work with, even when school starts, has turned over their rosters. But you all did an awesome job with your schedules so that you all can actually see the kids you're inheriting. So that's great. So what you'll do is double-click one of your PDFs. And it's tempting to download all classes. You can do it. What it would do is download all your kids in alphabetical order. But that might not be what you want. You probably want them separated by class. So if you just want all your kids, do download all classes. If not, choose 1, 2, 3, 4, which is just real-time speak for the 21-22 school year. And then just choose one class at a time and click Download. And that way you'll get a file for kids in each class. And you can go back, choose your next class, click Download. So I'll give folks a couple minutes to do that. I'll walk around if you have questions. For those of you who do not have real-time rosters, if you go to slide 16, so counselors, guidance, CST, etc., slide 16 has a tutorial in orange. It's all the same content. There's either a how-to sheet, an animated tutorial, or a video that shows you how to make the focus groups, which is kind of put the kids that you support into a class so you can get these. And also, non-classroom teachers, we were discussing having an additional PD with you to support you. But I don't want you to have to wait for me, so if you want to get started, slide 16 can help you. So you'll keep on just choosing your class and click download, and then you can do the same thing for your other classes. All right, does it work for you if I just kind of go through these a little bit and then you can keep downloading? Is that okay, or would you rather have a few minutes to just download?
One question.
Yeah.
You have all these standards listed. Is there a place where we can go to see the standards?
2 places. Were you in my first session on looking at the benchmarks?
Yeah.
Okay, so in that, if you saved that class diagnostic, it explains the standards. You know that thing? And then I think this document may have it. Let me just double check here. We are going to add, I don't have anything besides that class diagnostic. That would be the best one. But we're going to add it to some documents for you. There are the topics too, if the topics are more useful for you, if you're not familiar with the standards. So just very briefly, now that you're looking at these, for each kid, the data may be different because, hey, some kids might not have taken LinkIt benchmarks, some may be new to the district, some may have taken PSAT, you see it on the bottom, some may not. The older kids, you'll have 2 years of LinkIt data. The younger kids, you'll have 1 year. If you teach 9th grade, they didn't take LinkIt benchmarks, so we don't have that. On the bottom is the legend. So the legend, just to go through it, for LinkIt benchmarks, for those who are not as familiar with them, they are state test predictive. And beyond all the state test performance bands, it has a bubble performance band. Bubble are kids who are technically predicted to pass the state test, but just barely. So they are the bottom 10% of meeting kids. So we added this bubble performance band to support you to see the kids who are kind of on the edge. Statistically, 2/3 of bubble kids pass the state test, 1/3 don't. We just added this other performance band to help you support all the kids, especially those who are right on the edge. So what's neat is that you'll be able to see not only their overall scores, how they did in ELA and math. Math is on the right, but you're also able to see the progression. Because, hey, they may be meeting, but they may be struggling in some of the standards, and vice versa. You may have some kids that are not in the green, but they are doing well in some of the standards. So I'll give you an example here. This student is not yet expected to meet, but is showing a proficiency in some of the standards. So what a lot of teachers do is they'll just chuck this on their clipboard for each of their classes, and as they're facilitating around, this just helps them gain a further understanding of their kids earlier. Also, this can be brought to any meetings that you have related to 504, IEP, intervention, or just parent meetings. And that could be very useful, too, for the non-instructional staff. One thing to consider is that we have made these on purpose or we try to minimize the data on here on purpose. just so folks can kind of wrap their head around it and use it. But over time, please let your admin know if you want other stuff on here. We could put SAT on here. We could put their iReady for middle school on here. We could put attendance and grades on here. We didn't want to give you a sheet of paper that had 1 million data points that might be too much to chew on to start, but we can eventually build on this if it's useful. In the slides, there are also beyond steps to get to this. So I have a short video that shows you how to do what we just did. There are some questions that may be helpful to consider while you're looking at them, but I'm sure you're just curious to check out your kids. So let me give you, wow, time flies. Let me give you a 5-10 minutes to check those out. If you are a non-instructional staff member or you don't have any student fingertip profiles, please come on down to the front and I'll show you how to make a class in LinkIt, and then you can see these.
Not in here for me, and I don't remember.
Yeah.
I don't know if I did the right thing. I was trying to start by the instructions you gave us. But
Oh yeah, that's a good start.
I know that this is.
Yeah, I'll get everyone to where you are, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, take a seat, and we'll get started making your LinkIt class. Is anyone in charge of like an entire grade?
Yeah. Well, no, because I have sections over it.
Okay. All ninth, okay. And what about you? Say again? Oh, okay, so for co-teachers, is your gen ed teacher here? No? Okay. What you'll need to do is have your gen ed teacher, it's on slide 16 too. Oh, you have two options. One is you can email Rose. That's probably the easiest. Just ask Rose to make you a co-teacher. Or if you see your gen ed teacher, this short video just shows you how to do it. They just need to make you a co-teacher. Okay, focus groups. Okay. So yeah, I would just email Rose right now and just say, hey, can you make me a co-teacher? And then you could also put in the email, please republish the student fingertip profiles, because basically the admin presses this publish button. But if you get added to a class after they click on that, which is what will happen, you're not going to see anything until they republish it. It's like a static thing. Okay, let's talk about your focus group. So you went to manage classes, you clicked add new class, right? And you have your name of your class. Did you make the term just 1, 2, 3, 4 because you have the same kids all year?
Yeah.
Great. And then you make the class type focus? All right, you're doing great. Now, does anyone else need to see the group of kids you see? Like, does anyone else have the same umbrella of kids?
No.
Okay. So then you don't need to assign it to anyone else. And then click back. And then you'll see it here. Do you see yours?
Yep.
Cool.
Is it okay that I just put class of 2025? Like, should I put my name there, or it doesn't matter? 'Cause you
Doesn't
have
really
my
matter.
profile, right?
Yep. As long as it's going to make sense for you in like 2 years. You might want to put 2021 before it. So next year, you know, if you're under a different group of people, you know, looking at different kids. But it's not really a big deal. You could always change it. Like in 3 years, you might have a bunch of focus groups, and it may be hard to know like which is the one for this year. So most people before, like you can click on the pencil for me on the left.
So it won't. So I'd have to create this group every year.
Yep, that's how everyone, like CST, et cetera, does it. Because unless it was in real time. If it was in real time, you wouldn't need to. So you might want to write here, just write 21, 22. Unless you're with the same group of kids.
Well, this would be the same class, like, you know, like class of 2025 is like their graduating class.
Oh, I got you. I'm just thinking next year,
Yeah.
you may have other kids in that class that weren't in school this year.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't see them. you know? All right, so then click Submit again and then back. And then you'll see on the, where it says Manage Students, see how there's a pencil and a plus sign? You want to click on the pencil. The plus sign is for kids who aren't in real time. It's almost never used. So do you have this? Yeah. Oh, you clicked on the other pencil. I'll show you. You want under Students, Manage Students, you click on the pencil. All right, then you click Assign Students. And are you like A to M or the whole?
R through Z.
R through Z, okay, good. So let's go to Program and choose the grade. What grade are you?
Well, this is for 9. I have all of them, but this is
Okay. So click 9 and click Apply Filter. And then, I mean, so I'll just be honest. I'm trying to think of the best way to do this. So there is a Select All button here.
Yeah, but that would be more than I need.
Yes.
Probably better off.
So maybe first off, change the Show Entries to 100. And then let's start by, what happens if I do Search R? Okay, so that's the last. So you could do this. If you just look at mine for a second. So I'm doing R. I select all. I do S. Oh, that's weird. Maybe that's not going to work. Huh. Oh, that might, nah. Yeah, there may be a way to do it with search, but you might just, you know, put them in alphabetical order and just do the click thing. When you're done, once you've clicked kids, you'll click the Add Students to Class, this one. Add new students or kids who aren't in real time, so that's not relevant. But you can literally just click on Add Students to Class when you're done with the whole thing. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, so because we don't sync with real time for you, this is static. And so you can add kids, take them away, etc. All right, we'll come together in a few minutes and would love to hear just thoughts for how people are thinking of using these. And I'll just share a couple other things and we'll end early. If anyone needs any help, I'll come around. symbolic mic to your way. How are folks thinking they will use these? Thanks. Great, yeah, and if you didn't hear, it was said like, okay, and look across students to see which standards to focus on. Just know that we have, if you weren't in my previous session, we do also have other reports that can put all your students' data together. So you can definitely do that with these student fingertip profiles, but know that we have other ways too. Okay, did someone else have their hand down here? Yeah?
I would use it to, like, when I'm writing their IEPs, their present levels of functioning.
Great, yeah, for IEPs, present level of functioning, goal setting for intervention, that kind of thing. Great, anyone else? All right, yeah, thanks.
I mean, this saves me a lot of time because I used to go through each individual student, and I would take the test scores, standardized test scores that I thought were applicable to understanding the student's needs in whatever class I was in, and I would create my own data sheets, but now this has saved me a lot of time.
Good. Yeah, and one thing to consider is that, I think I said this before, but if there's data that you don't see that you want, let Jerry or Melissa or whoever know, your department chair, and we can build another one of these this year. Last thing I just wanted to share is if you weren't in my other sessions, like what this Form A, B, and C stuff is Form A is fall, B is winter, C is spring. So Form A is a total pre-assessment. It's saying what do kids know for the standards that are going to be taught this year. And so the kids will know some things, but none of the standards have been taught. And what you'll see is that the percentage of questions they got right in the overall score for some kids will change dramatically. And the way the colors work in the overall scores is that for Form A, before anything's been taught yet, for kids to be predicted to be meeting, it's typically significantly lower than Form C in the spring. Because, hey, it's Form A in the fall, they haven't learned much yet, and this is just saying what their prior knowledge is. So for them to be predicted to be meeting in the fall, it's a lower score than for them to be predicted to be meeting in the spring when they've gone through, 2/3 of a year with you. So that's just kind of the story behind the performance bands. But I will be here if anyone has any questions. Otherwise, good luck with the beginning of school, and thank you for all of your questions and being here today.